Think again, part 30. Having some doubts about our knowledge and skills takes us off a pedestal, encouraging us to seek our insight from others. As psychologist Elizabeth Crummell Mancuso and her colleagues wrote, learning requires humility to realize one has something to learn. Some evidence on the dynamic comes from a study by another of our former doctoral students at Wharton. Danielle Tussing, now a professor at SUNY Buffalo. Danielle gathered her data in a hospital where the leadership role of charge nurse is rotated between shifts, which means that nurses end up at the helm even if they have doubts about their capabilities. Nurses who felt some hesitation about assuming the mantle were actually more effective leaders, in part because they were more likely to seek out second opinion from colleagues. They saw themselves on a level playing field and they knew that much of what they lacked in experience and expertise they could make up by listening. There is no clearer case of that than Hala. The League of Extraordinary Humility. When I sat down with Hala, she told me that in the past her doubts had been debilitating. She took them as a sign she lacked the ability to succeed. Now she had reached a point of confident humility and she intercepted, I beg your pardon, please, and she interpreted doubts differently. They were a cue that she needed to improve her tools. Plenty of evidence suggests that confidence is just as often the result of progress as the cause of it. We don't have to wait for our confidence to rise to achieve challenging goals. We can build it, though. We can build it through achieving challenging. It's fuel to do more, try more. Hala says, I've learned to use it to my advantage. I actually thrive on the growth that comes from the self doubt. While other candidates were content to rely on the usual media coverage, Hala's uncertainty about her tools made her eager to rethink the way campaigns were run. She worked harder and smarter, staying up late to personally answer social media messages. She held Facebook live sessions where voters could ask her anything and learn to use Snapchat to reach young people. Deciding she had nothing to lose, she went where few presidential candidates had gone before. Instead of prosecuting her opponents, she ran a positive campaign. How much worse can it get? She thought it was part of why she resonated so strongly with voters. They were tired of watching candidates smear one another and delighted to see a candidate treat her competitors with respect. Uncertainty primes us to ask questions and absorbs new ideas. It protects us against Dunning-Kruger effect. Imposter syndrome always keeps me on my toes and growing because I never think I know it all. Hala reflects sounding more like a scientist than a politician. Maybe imposter syndrome is needed for a change. Imposters rarely say, this is how we do things around here. They don't say, this is the right way. I was so eager to learn and grow that I asked everyone for an advice on how I could do things differently. Although she doubted her tools, she had confidence in herself as a learner. She understood that knowledge is best sought from experts, but creativity and wisdom can come from anywhere. Iceland's presidential elections came down to Hala, David Oddsson, and two other men. The three men all enjoyed more media coverage than Hala throughout the campaign.